we started with Winnebago at the very beginning of that, in that identified product. What is, they talked about a smart RV, but what was a smart RV, right? This really gets into a set of disciplines and a process that we go through where we break down the consumer experience, who's buying their product, what do they do on when they own the product, how do they use the product, how do they purchase the product, how do they use it, how do they service it, all of that, and identify where are their big challenges, pain points, unmet needs, and identify where are those areas that we can innovate our product around. And we call those innovation targets. So you start with customers, unmet needs, identify these opportunity targets. That allows you to ideate and create solutions around that. And you come up with concepts that you can then validate through our product validation process. So with Winnebago, we went through all of the stages right from the beginning of ideation and identify the product through to prototyping, running a proof of concept with the ERV2, which we have right here. So, it's a prototype RV that was never launched into market, had our prototype software. Now it has all of our production equipment and software in it, so we could demonstrate it to folks, which is a great tool you guys can use and take advantage of when looking at new prospective clients. And then we launched that product into full production, went into the next stage of launch, which includes proper product planning for launching a new product, piloting a product, which is about exposing that product into market and in all your production market conditions, but in a limited way to limit your risk. And then the last part of the launching your product is all about the full production launch and what's involved with that and getting it out in the market. And now we're on the tail end of our process and into the production support or performance optimization, the last stage in support there. But not all of our clients are like that. I mean, maybe you could speak to where do other clients? You mentioned Marvin. What about those?
Well, no, but I wanted to ask you another question.
Sure, go for it.
And I want to put you on the spot because I want to guess, because I think you were involved in a lot of that market research and customer research with Winnebago. And as you went through, what were the biggest challenges? Was there anything that you found that where you were like, that you could share that is like an aha moment? Or
yeah, there's a few of them. Actually, the first thing that popped in my head was, so I came from customer facing online experiences were my roots of in my early career, websites and online build to order for Ford and how to optimize that. It was all about screen time, how to capture the consumer, how to get them engaged with your brand, and how to keep them engaged with your brand. Well, interesting enough, what we found, and I mentioned the whole wall of control systems and all of the different, overhead involved with you managing and keeping your RV where you need it to be. That's overbearing and it's time consuming, and all of that meant from a consumer is lost time on their adventure, lost time with their family because they're worrying about the coach. Does they have enough water? Is the battery at enough level? And they're constantly having to look after that stuff. So the one big aha moment was our goal in creating an integrated touchscreen experience with a mobile app was not to drive engagement, but quite the opposite. Instead, measure ourselves against the lack of engagement. How do we make it so the coach takes care of itself? This smart vehicle can now, and it's connected, it now can alert you and let you know if the battery is getting low or let you know if you're going to run out of water today. So now you don't have to spend all that time managing your coach. You can instead enjoy your family, enjoy your vacation. And that, to me, is game changing and really what that whole upfront process is about, and why we do that, and why you spend that time prior to just jumping in and launching a vehicle. I mean, it goes back to why we started the 6 Ps. We found businesses spending, in fact, Ford doing it, and not to call out a specific program or predict, but spending $100 million plus on a program was something that you had no idea whether it was going to work or market.
I think I've been in a couple of those.
And failed horribly, right? And yes, what's the result? Some turnover of leadership usually, and then they move on. And but those are hard lessons to learn, and having worked in connected products literally our entire careers and 30 plus years careers, not to age ourselves, but it's really some of those lessons have taught us that you have to think differently when thinking about a connected product.
Well, okay, I've known you for like 2 decades.
Yeah.
I've been involved in the project from the get-go. And I will say that is the first time I've actually heard that story. So for me, it was like hearing it for the first time. I was like, yay.
Well, you asked me that, and I'm like, now you got me thinking about what other ones there was.
No.
Well, there was, I will tell you, can I give you one more?
Well, can I guess?
Yeah.
Because I want to know. Did anybody mention they wanted to stop fighting over the climate control, where the wife is like in the front of the cabin and she's got the air conditioner on because she's hot, and you're in the back and you're freezing your butt off, so you got the heater on,
yes.
And then you're playing both vents on against each other?
Yes, you definitely heard that. But that's not the one I was going to refer to. The one I was going to refer to was the unmet need around pets.
Oh,
so people
yeah.
traveling with their families, and they are often, and it's like something like 60 or 70% of people in RVs are traveling with a pet.
I go on vacation with our dog, Bailey. She goes everywhere with us.
Yes. And so what we found is nobody in the market had anything that they were providing to support a pet, except for one thing, which was this little thing to hook up your leash.
Yes.
To the outside.
I saw that at the campground.
For your dog. That's the extent of pet care provided from the RV company.
Yeah.
But what did we find, again, from doing that due diligence and that upfront identify process, was that customers wanted to leave their pet behind. They wanted to leave them in the coach while they went into town to get some fruits and vegetables from the market, or they wanted to go for a hike with their,
Well, you can't bring a small dog.
You can't bring a small dog on a 10-mile hike.
No.
Right? We're not going to make it.
Well, not only that, but you never know what you're going to encounter,
right.
and you don't know the dog's behavior. We would never take Bailey on a nature walk where I know there's like maybe deer or large animals, because I really can't. I mean, Bailey's a good girl, Bailey, but I mean, she is a dog and she's going to follow her instincts. So I totally get the need, and my wife would be, Krista, she'd be like, I wonder what Bailey's doing, or so having a place where Bailey is safe, climate controlled. I mean,
yeah, and that's exactly so we heard first that, what can you do for my pet? And so we said, we envision the ultimate pet carrying solution, right? We're going to monitor temperature. We're going to have cameras in the.
I remember this. Yeah.
You can, look after your pet. We're gonna have a speaker and microphone so you can hear the pet, talk to your pet. It's okay, Bailey. You're gonna be fine. What else? Oh, and then hey, they need something, so let me dispense a treat. A treat
dispenser. Yeah.
And a couple of interesting things we heard back from customers. One was, can I use it to look after my aging parent? That was one. That I thought was one.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, yeah. It wasn't him, promise. But the second thing was I don't want cameras inside my vehicle and microphones and speak. Where's the feed of that information going? Yes, that's interesting to me, but I have some security and safety concerns of our own just by having that equipment in there. However, overwhelmingly, they said, but if you can just make sure it's comfortable in there, and if it's going to fall outside of that comfortable range, notify me. And then the other big thing that we kept hearing is, I hook up to shore power, but shore power at campgrounds is notoriously unreliable.
Yeah.
And as we've become, RVers and campers ourselves by working and again being about we, not me, and being really intimate with the brand and the customer experience, I can totally appreciate it. It happens all the time. And so what they wanted was just let us know if that's going to happen. And so what we ended up creating, which was great, we invested less in a much more scaled down pet minder product or feature that we created, but all because of that upfront due diligence and that experience. So I just want to point that out. It does pay off in saving you money down the road, in creating a better product that customers love, and not over investing in things that you don't need.
Okay, so I don't think I'm dating myself by saying this.
Yes, you are.
But no, it's going to be topical. Just trust me. But I'm kind of then in thinking about what are the values of that product identification right? That process. I think about like, there's a world of opportunity. And if you rush into it and you assume that you know more than the consumer does, then you end up potentially overshooting what it is and potentially dissatisfying the customer because you create barriers. And I'm thinking like, for me, when you were describing I don't want cameras or even all the original things that were on the concept, I used to watch The Simpsons. I don't, but do you remember the episode of the Homer-mobile? Where he gets to build a Homer-mobile and it becomes this big albatross and ends up failing miserably. But that's kind of what I think about. He doesn't know, but I bet you know.
I remember
it. Again, I did say I might be aging myself.
To specifically answer your question, what do you get from product identification? The product identifies stage.
Okay.
It's very important. We already mentioned a few. You're going to save yourself money in that you're not going to overinvest in capabilities that your customer doesn't want or need, and that was an example that we just shared. The other thing that you're going to get is you're going to get the right product for the market. So just as we just refined that portion, that feature of the Winnebago Connect solution, the Winnebago Connect solution as a whole is made up of all of those different types of ideas that have been vetted, validated, and we know are going to deliver value to the consumer. One of the biggest things that a lot of people don't recognize and that you can appreciate coming from a big company, and hopefully folks who are listening to this can also appreciate, is that you, in a large company, when you're talking about what should we invest in next, like what is that next product going to be? It often becomes a little bit of,
oh yeah,
who's the
politics,
politicking and who's got the largest voice, or who controls the budget, and it's their decision and it's their way or the highway. And what ends up happening is then you've got a product that you're asking the team to develop that nobody is really vested in. This is the magic of our product identification stage, is what you get with this. And is that you get everybody on the same page. Everybody goes through the process together.
Yeah.
We identify things, and we have a very objective process to scoring and valuing the different types of capabilities. And what you end up with through the ideation and value scoring and determination of what the right product is the solution ends up becoming everybody's idea, and everybody becomes fully bought in because it's an objective criteria. And then everybody's on board with the solution and where it needs to go. And that is huge.
So I know you said it, and I understand what you're saying, right? But just to like hammer it home, when you say everybody, you're really talking about these sessions, the workshop.
Yeah.
It's not just about bringing the one executive in and having that one executive dictate what they expect. It really is that collaboration. So you need stakeholders so that, if you're dependent on a manufacturing niche, you have potentially engineering, service engineering, marketing, all those things, right? And I think that, personally, I've been involved in many of these, and I do see the value because it establishes that common thread. So then, because teams will break away, right? Like nobody works. It'd be great if we all huddled and worked constantly together, but they're going to go off and they're going to do your things. And then if you weren't part of that process, you're not going to read an email or a PowerPoint presentation. It doesn't have the same effect. It really doesn't. And so rather than having to let somebody who is needing to work somewhat autonomously, and then what happens is you have to go look over what they're doing and say, oh, no, I need to pull you back. I feel like what happens is their alignment starts right at the get-go. Yes. And for me, it sounds so simple. It feels like it should be simple. It's one of those like, well, yeah, that totally makes sense. But you would be surprised how often that doesn't happen.
Well, and to be fair, this is a process that developed over a decade. This is not like we just dreamt this up and it was the perfect process out of the gate. A lot of this was, became a process. We talk about process through proven practice, through failed practice and then finding the right ways to do things and then establishing a foundational process around that. And that's what the advantages you get when working with Robo is that we're going to bring those lessons learned, that discipline and that process to the table to take you through and get you that connected product and it to be successful way more often than not.